YouTube, once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. All right, so I appreciate the insight on Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach. A lot of folks think, well, Mike Leach might not be able to make it happen at the level that he did at Washington State, at Mississippi State, and a lot of folks think that Lane Kiffin is actually lazy in recruiting, so not necessarily sure what his outcome is going to be at Ole Miss. But I will tell you this, just based on certain entities of perceptions of coaching, they're going to be able to track some people there. Now, are they going to be able to track the high-end 4 stars and 5 stars on a year in and year out basis? No. But they're going to be able to get, and plus you got to look, these guys have experience now. You know, if we're judging Lane Kiffin on what he was at USC or Tennessee, we might be judging the wrong guy because coaches evolve. You know, I think Gus Malzahn has evolved from day one, even though he kind of skyrocketed in his first year. But when you look at where Gus Malzahn is as a coach now versus where he was back in 2013, where he was piecing scheduling together with junior college transfers. This is the first year. We're talking year 7. This is the first year that Gus Malzahn actually has a quarterback, in my opinion, that he trusts enough to where he did not go the junior college route, period. That's the first time in his tenure that he did not actively pursue a junior college coach. And I think that's a big, that just is a big thing perception-wise to show where Gus Malzahn is as a football coach, and he's starting to understand what it takes to be a coach in Power 5 football. Now, many of us, because of the said opportunities, will say, well, Auburn should have won a couple. No, they really shouldn't have. Because Auburn, in my opinion, has not had the overall talent, the sustainable talent to win multiple national championships. If you think about it, think about how Auburn won in 2013. The prayer, Jordan Hare. You know, pick 6. That's not a sustainable way to win ball games. Even in 2010, if you look at those either way kind of games for the Tigers, you want to build your program. Clemson is winning on something that's sustainable. They'll be right back in the college football playoffs this year, more than likely. Alabama, barring any, just we're not talking about them being in the SEC. We're talking about their ability to recruit. Barring any, unforeseen loss, some crazy injuries, they'll be back in the conversation. Clemson will be back in the conversation, right? Oregon now will be in the conversation because their ability to recruit. And like I said before, coaching is wonderful. But if you can't recruit, you got to have the players. You got to have the guys that can make it happen. You know, Georgia, for example, they're right there. You know, Kirby Smart hadn't been there a long time, but you're talking about a national championship appearance, a SEC championship, and New Year's Six Bowl every year. That's getting it done, guys. Why? Because he's recruiting at a high level every year. Half the team sat out against Baylor. Still beat Baylor pretty handedly. Now, we talk about Auburn in the 2020 football season. Now, there was a guy I was kind of iffy about as to whether he was returning or not because he's been there so long. You talk about Eli Stove. Now, Eli Stove is, arguably one of the staples of the current state of the Auburn program. Been around since 2016. Really helped Auburn out, with the jet sweep. Helped out in 2017. The only thing is he had a hamstring, not a hamstring, but an ACL injury that hampered him in 2018. But Eli Stove has been a very productive player for the Auburn Tigers, and it's really great that he is returning. And when you have a guy, especially at the state of Auburn's program where they're losing so many seniors, you're losing guys like Derek Brown, you're losing guys like Marlon Davidson, who's been around the program for a while, who understand the culture, to have a guy like Eli Stove coming back is really, really a gold mine in and of itself, even if he doesn't produce the numbers that, you would expect a guy like him to produce. But to be able to have that influence, to be able to have that team captain status, that leadership status, the fact that he even is coming back says a lot. You talk about a guy that has endured, that has gone through a struggle, an ACL struggle to come back. I think he actually recovered from his injury a lot better than Will Hastings did. He seemed to be a lot more mobile and a lot more productive, and he was very active in the run-pass option and the jet sweep game. Eli Stove has a wealth of experience. He understands the culture of Auburn football, and I believe that he will be one of those vocal leaders, kind of like how Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson, when they came back, they've been around the program for a while, and they could provide that influence and that leadership. And that's something definitely that Auburn will need, especially considering how you're losing your entire offensive line. Boobie Whitlow has transferred, and, your main leader on offense is Seth Williams, who, yes, has been around, but I just believe from a tangible leadership, from a real deal leadership standpoint, I just think Eli Stove is the stronger fit in that regard. So I think Auburn is going to very, very greatly benefit from the return of Eli Stove. And yes, he can be very productive, especially with, adding another element to the run pass option, the jet sweep. He's very good at intermediate routes. If they would just actually run him on those intermediate routes, we will see if Auburn would do that. But in the meantime, this thing could be a little bit, bigger than what we may expect. I think Eli Stove coming back is a huge deal for the Auburn Tigers, and will possibly play dividends from a leadership standpoint, experience standpoint, and just to keep the kids grounded. The guy's been in the SEC championship game. He's also been in the New Year's Six game. He has been in the mix when Auburn was trying to be actually two times when Auburn was trying to be the first two-loss team in the college football era to actually have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs, barring wins over Georgia and Alabama. So he has that experience. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast Talking Auburn Football. Like the video, click the bell twice, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.